The name of the show tonight is Embrace Success, and we're going to highlight women who have used their minds to overcome obstacles. Their names are Mrs. Michelle Rosado, Annette Lynch, and Dorris Burch, and they all have awesome stories to share with the audience. And first, I would like to introduce Michelle Rosado. Michelle actually is a 9/11 survivor with the World Trade Center attack. And at this point, I'm just going to turn it over to Michelle and give her an opportunity to tell us a little bit about her experience and the things that she's done to overcome that horrific experience.
Well, thank you, LeTonya. It is indeed a pleasure to be here with you this evening, as well as Annette and Dorris. And I'm really looking forward to sharing my story, but more importantly, hearing the other stories of these fantastic women who have overcome their own adversities. You are correct, LeTonya. I am a survivor of the World Trade Center tragedy. I was located in my office on the 95th floor of Tower 2 when the first plane hit Tower 1. I was able to take the last elevator by the accompaniment of my coworker who I had never spoken with. And I believe in this point there is always divine timing wherever we are. We will always find someone who is looking for our greater good and looking to save us from whatever we are going through. She actually led me into the elevator, and when the elevator descended into the lobby of Tower 1, in Tower 2, the second plane hit Tower 2, which then led me to leaving the building. And the whole experience is graphic, and it is extremely hard for people to remember, and I understand. But in this experience, I did find something about myself that I had never known to be possible. And that's actually finding my own purpose in life. Many people have gone through tragedies in their own lives, and I understand that everybody has experienced their own 9/11, whether it be enduring the tragedy of having cancer in their lives, or losing a job, or losing a loved one to something that is extremely sorrowful. But if it is possible for us to be able to live in our own present moment and seeing the beauty that is the gift that is given to us every single day, that in turn leads us to knowing exactly why we're here. And it doesn't matter what tragedy you've gone through, it really is the purpose of knowing where you are now in this present moment. With the tragedy of September 11th, I had lost over 100 close friends that I had dealt with and that I worked with. And anybody who has worked in corporate America knows how close you can get with people who you work with a third of the day. You start your day from 9 to 5, and you all of a sudden have these relationships with people. And unfortunately, I had lost these people like so many others. We lost these people in an instant. And in the shock and everything else that happened with that tragedy, there were a bunch of people who came together and have known and have grown in a special way to heal. Have helped so many other people realize that these people who had gone are not really gone. They are all part of who we are and are part of our present and our future, because this is a time of rebirth. It is a time of reawakening. And we do know that no matter where we are in life, there is always a time to smile and to laugh and to grow with everybody else, because we are of one entity. We are in turn ourselves, and we can learn from each other. And so in essence, the September 11 tragedy was something that will change our lives forever. We know that it is something that changed our lives. It changed the lives of our future generations, because it is something that is part of American history. But American history is not part of us. We are part of our own history, and we are enabled to see that within us and know that we are, in essence, the best people who we can possibly be if we know who we are. And so what I'd like to do, LeTonya, is turn it back over to you so that we can also hear the incredible stories of the other women who are on the show tonight.
Well, thank you so much, Michelle. I know how, I can't say I know, I'll say I can imagine how difficult it is, certainly, as you speak about your situation, as you speak about a true story of survival and that one decision being essentially the difference between life and death. I would like for you to share one thing about the audience, with the audience about what you're doing, because you have actually co-authored a book. And if you could just quickly share a little bit about the book and where one could purchase the book, I think they would greatly appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you, LeTonya. The name of our book is called Pursuing Your Destiny, How to Overcome Adversity and Achieve Your Dreams. So the book actually came out almost 2 years ago, and many people thought it might be a 9/11 book because of the fact that I did survive it and we wrote a book. But it actually has nothing to do with September 11th. It's a journey of survival from the time that my husband Randy and I grew up in New York, completely separated. We didn't know each other, but we both have gone through many things that teenagers and young adults have gone through with, getting through teenage life, to going into corporate America, to getting established in life, and also the hardships of being in marriage and trying to work things out, and just being, ourselves, finding ourselves within the same time, going through tragedies in life. And so the book has been on Fox and NBC, and it's gotten, we've been blessed with so many great reviews, and we hope that you will enjoy it. It can be found on both our book website, which is pursuingyourdestiny.com, as well as my own website, which is michellerosado.com.
Excellent. And so if some of the folks wanted to contact you directly, could they go to your michellerosado.com website?
Yes, and if they go to the contact page, they can contact me directly via email or phone.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for sharing, Michelle. Next, I'd like to go to Annette Lynch. Annette actually is a former Australian Olympian, and I'll let her tell a little bit about her story and her journey to from the little girl who dreamed of being an Olympian to the woman who now looks back on that experience. So, Annette, if you could share a little bit about that with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, LeTonya. And, when you think about adversity and what Michelle has been through, I realize what a blessed life I've had in that most of my adversity is, in a way, has been self-imposed because I set such a lofty goal. For me, it started when I was 10. I dreamt of going to the Olympics, and because I was a gymnast at the time, and Nadi Comaneci was the darling of the Olympics. And for me, that was a defining moment where it opened my eyes to what was possible, and something within me believed that I could do it and put that as a crazy goal. But my career was already over at 15, 16 years old. I injured my back and I couldn't continue on with gymnastics. But there was something within me, I don't know where it came from, that always asked myself, how else can I fill in the blanks? How else can I go to the Olympics? How else can I, continue to achieve my dream? And I was at high school at the time, and I decided to go on to university to study physical therapy because physical therapists go to the Olympics. So I thought, any which way, I want to go to the Olympics. But I was also playing indoor volleyball in the meantime, and strove to be the best. And I guess I had this internal drive to constantly be the best that I could be and go from a regional team to a state team and to ultimately represent Australia in indoor volleyball. But it wasn't until beach volleyball became an Olympic sport. It was announced as an Olympic sport in 92-93 to be first played at the Olympics in 1996, which was in Atlanta. And I thought, wow, I can go to the Olympics. Suddenly this dream was alive again. And I was one of the best beach volleyballers in Australia, and I was on track in 1994 to make it to 96. I had a partner. We were ranked 8th in the world. And then adversity set in. I had an obstacle because my partner decided she didn't want to just go to the Olympics. She wanted to win a medal, and she didn't think she could do it with me. So suddenly I didn't have a partner. And it became a little bit of a story in my life. I don't know if listeners can relate, or you can relate, where you sort of have this recurring theme. And for me, it was finding a partner and then losing that partner, not getting the partner that could suit me and help me to make it to the Olympics. To cut a story short, I failed in 96. I didn't get to the Olympics. And I just had to keep going. I hated to get to 2000 and think, well, what if, I kept going. And definitely there were times when I felt like quitting and thinking, am I crazy? And is everybody else right? People that didn't believe in me, that thought, well, you don't have it in you. And I really, particularly in 98, I thought of stopping and settling for something else. But again, that burning inside, what if I kept going? And so I did keep going. I found a new partner, and I made it to 2000. And so I represented Australia in beach volleyball in 2000. And we have a saying for Olympians, once an Olympian, always Olympian. So we're commonly introduced as former Olympians, but I still am an Olympian, and I'm very, very proud of that. And it's interesting, actually, that I am proud of it, because my friends went on to win the gold medal. And for a big part of my story, and that when I get to speak to audiences, was the fact that, I sort of dropped the bundle after the Olympics. After having this dream for so long, suddenly I didn't have that same dream pushing me along, and I started settling for just going with the flow with no real clear direction. And it wasn't until 2006 that I had my next sort of big turning and defining moment, where I suddenly opened my eyes and started looking forward again to what was possible, and having a role model and being really clear about what I wanted, which was to become a speaker, to inspire others to be their best. And I guess I've always been driven by moving towards something versus. And I guess that's what helps one overcome adversity, because you just focus on the prize and you don't even see the obstacles, or you just sort of find a way to get around them. And that's the sort of things that actually led me to Hawaii. It's sort of, I think, what's an Australian doing in Hawaii? And it's actually part of my story of finding the love of my life. And he lived here in Hawaii, and I moved here a few years ago and officially became an American resident 15, 16 months ago. So that's it in a nutshell.
Excellent. I really appreciate you sharing that, because the one thing that I thought about as you were speaking is that, you never lose sight of that goal and that initial passion that's burning inside of you, even if you don't get there the way that you thought. And so I think that is certainly key, and that's very important. You also do some coaching, and so if you could quickly share with us just some key things that you teach your clients about reaching their goals and overcoming obstacles.
Yeah, well, a lot of my coaching is based on the mindset about what a person thinks about themselves and what they believe is possible for them, because often what stops us is not necessarily the actions that we take, but what we think about our ability to do things. And so I look at a person's belief and expose them for the lies that they are, because we've all got this amazing inner power within us, and sometimes it just takes someone else from the outside to see the brilliance in someone. And so I focus on the brilliance, bringing that out. And I'm particularly focused on helping entrepreneurs to succeed in business, and also to step out and share their brilliance, because I think that's how we can create a better world, that people keep sharing their message, and then they're sharing it with another group, and then they share it along. And so everyone becomes empowered that way. And so I want to help people with speaking skills, as well as the skills that helps them to get out there and discover and share their brilliance. And so that they can find all about that at my site, which is www.AnnetteLynchSpeaking.com, which is pretty easy.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much, Annette. We really appreciate that. And so we're going to move to Mrs. Dorris Burch, who is a success coach and have just an awesome philosophy. And so as not to steal her thunder, I'm going to ask Dorris to tell us a little bit about her story, about herself, and certainly about her success coaching strategies. Dorris.
Hello, LeTonya. Thank you for the opportunity to be on the show with Annette and Michelle. This is such a great honor, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, to tell a little bit about my story and myself is that, my big aha moment, my big transition to step more fully into my greatness happened back in 1994 when I was in my little apartment and I had a vision. It was just so crystal clear, and it was a vision of me on a platform, and I just heard the words that I would be empowering women all over the world to step into their greatness and be all that God created them to be. And that really set everything in motion from that moment. And I just gradually did different things throughout the time and years on, what I thought was possible for me to do, but at the same time not completely believing that I could do it. And I had a corporate job at the time, and I actually really wasn't enjoying that experience. That corporate world was not all what I thought it was meant to be, and it was not fun for me. And I was just going through the motions. And, it took me a long time to actually finally say yes to stepping into my own power and my own greatness. And, if anyone had looked at me and looked at my life, you would have thought that I was truly loving my life. But, I knew I was living below the potential that God had placed inside of me. And when I would look in the mirror into my own eyes in the quiet moments of the morning when I, wash my face and put my makeup on, when you are face to face with yourself and you're living below your potential, you know it. It's a burning inside of you that just knows that you have so much more to give and you just can't figure it out. And your soul doesn't buy into it. It doesn't buy into the excuses that you tell yourself, and it definitely doesn't buy into any of the excuses that you tell other people. And it really came down to, my vision had turned to complete frustration. I was so frustrated. I did not know how to do what I wanted to do. I didn't totally believe that I had a voice that could really reach out and empower women. And what I realize now, looking back, and at the time, I missed a couple of opportunities that came because they were disguised as a huge obstacle and something that would require me to get out of my own way and get out of my comfort zone and invest in myself in bigger ways than I had done at that time. And so what happened was my vision and frustration, they have the same root dream that is unfulfilled because of the frustration. And when we are, doing that to ourselves, when we are not allowing ourselves to fully step into our greatest selves and our highest version of ourselves and just go for it, that's the biggest disservice of all, by not daring to really dream and really being willing to do the work and take those steps of faith, to see our dreams come true. And what it really boiled down for me, and the biggest way I can just come to the conclusion of what ended up happening for me, when it's time for God to really put you forth in what you need to do, and you are just at the breaking point, and I was pretty much at the breaking point. I just wanted to do so much more. I wanted to impact women's lives, and I was just no longer satisfied with just the status quo. But I didn't have the guts to make the move. And so when you don't have the guts, God will move and do it for you and force you to really step on into it. And that is exactly really how it happened. I got forced to make the decision to step further into my dream, to impact the lives of women. And, the thing is, one woman can make a difference, one woman. And you can replace woman with your name and say one Dorris can make a difference, one LeTonya can make a difference, one Annette can make a difference, one Michelle can make a difference, and any of the listeners, just put your own name in there. That's all it takes. You just deciding that you're going to do what you need to do, get out in the world, get your gifts out in the world, get your brilliance out in the world, make a difference. It becomes a ripple effect, and lives are changed forever.
Wow. I love it. I absolutely love it. Because I think you're right when I believe probably if we talk to 1,000 people, there will be some similar sentiments. I mean, as you were speaking, I was thinking about those very things, several opportunities that I look back on now, and you're right, it was an opportunity to sort of step into my greatness, but of course, I saw it as a huge obstacle, so I certainly can relate to exactly what you're talking about. Just quickly, could you share with us just 3 tips if someone were to say to you, Dorris, what are 3 things that you would like for the listeners to take away from you tonight?
You know, the 3 tips to me they are simple tips, yet the hardest thing to do. And it really is, first of all, you have to really just get inside of yourself before you do anything. And these are how you really manifest and live, your most unlimited, fabulous life, is that, we really have to talk to God. We have to pray. And, pray and then meditate on what is revealed to you and the things that you want to do in the world, and then journal. Write it down. Write down where you're at, then write down what you're grateful for, and then write down what you want to create. Those 3 things, if you apply them and do them every day, and they aren't easy to do. I mean, I will tell you, I will not say they're easy. They are not. You have to make yourself do them because your mind will convince you there is something else you need to be using your time for, and you don't have the time to take those moments. But those things, prayer, meditation, and journaling, will change your life because you have the power dwelling within you to create your dream or co-create it with God, exactly the life He had intended for you to live anyway.
Excellent. So for the listeners who would like to get in touch with you, could you give them your contact information and possibly your website too?
Sure. You can reach me right now. I am at richdaddiesgirl.com. That's www.rich, R-I-C-H, daddy, D-A-D-D-Y, girl, daddy's girl with an F, I'm sorry, DDYSGIRL.com, richdaddiesgirl.com, because you are a child of God, you are a daughter of the King, which makes all those gifts, all those dormant gifts that are dwelling within you are the riches of the universe, and so that makes you a rich daddy's girl, and so tap into that power and live your most rich life. You can reach me there and, come by, opt in. I have a great newsletter that I send out to people, and just come in my world if you're ready to expand into a big transformation.
Excellent. Well, ladies, I want to first thank Sisters in Harmony for having us all and certainly for sponsoring my show. And thank you, ladies, for sharing your stories, because even though you guys are certainly out there on a national level, you have a national platform, just the things that we talk about certainly are things that are very intimate, and I realize that and I appreciate that. I also want to let everyone know that on June 11th, actually the 4 of us, Michelle, Annette, Dorris, and I, will be hosting a teleseminar called Tips for Using Your Mind to Overcome Obstacles. And to be placed on the mailing list for more information, you can contact me at masterlimitlesssuccess@gmail.com, or you can go to the Opulence website, www.opcoach.com, and sign up there. And we will start posting more information as it gets closer to time about the teleseminar. And once again, those websites for Michelle Rosado is michellerosado.com, And for Annette Lynch, it's AnnetteLynchSpeaks.com. And for Doris Burch, it's RichDaddiesGirl.com.